Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs, and today we are tearing into our new Necromunda models. So I'm going to be looking at one of the Wyld runners today. So I went down to Etten Games in Albuquerque, picked up my models, which they didn't even ask me if I wanted them. They'd already pre-ordered them for me because they know me so well. And that's why you have friendly local game stores. But we're not going to build all the Wyld runners. We'll just pick out one as an example, because it's more of the technique of how to organize yourself to do Necromunda models. So you can see here I have a tray, because a lot of these bits are tiny, and they will fall off. If they fall off on the tray, you're fine. If they fall off onto the floor and it's carpet, set up a circular search perimeter. Once it falls, stand perfectly still. Once it settles, you start a circular search perimeter without moving, because it might be in your clothes, it might be under your chair, in front of your chair. If you're on a hardwood floor, these bits will bounce 4 or 5 feet, so just be patient when you look for them. And with these models, organization is key, because Necromunda models are made to a tighter engineering tolerance than some of the other systems. So they're delicate, they're gentle, you have to take care of them. So I'm going to do Wyld Runner 2 right now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out all the bits first and lay them out here. So starting off with the numbered systems, do 1 and 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my very sharp cutters here, getting flat and flush to the model, I'm going to clip. Then I am going to lay this right there where it belongs. Alright, so now I'm going to go through the rest of the sprue, and I'm going to lay this model out. Alright, so you can see we have all our little tiny pieces laid out. And since Necromunda models are made to such a tight tolerance, what I'm going to go through is when I clipped it from the frame, there's still these little tiny nubbins stuck to it. So I am going to get those off with my X-Acto blade. And what I can do is I can also see the mold lines, and I can turn the blade sideways. Games Workshop sells a special tool for this. I just use the side of my X-Acto blade, flat edge, and you can scrape those off. Something you can use, and what I normally use, is a metal file. However, in certain parts of this model, the details are so delicate, you'd probably do more damage to the detail than you would reveal by filing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and I'm going to clean up all these little pieces here and get them presentable, because I don't want these mold lines to show up on my paint job. Alright, so we have all our little parts cleaned off. You must be gentle, because these are very slight and very delicate little pieces of the model. But now I'm going to get out my plastic glue. I like to use plastic glues on these ones because it makes a good fit, but it also gives you some play. So if you make a mistake and you discover it later on, you can still jiggle the model around a little bit. So I'm going to start with the core of her body. And there we go. That fits in pretty well, so we're going to let that set for a second. So what you'll see me do is jump around the model, because I'm letting the plastic glue set some before I move to the next piece. So I'm going to build it in little sub-assemblies until the final assembly. So let's do her hair next. And something I recommend for all Necromunda models is a tiny set of tweezers, because Just gives you something to work with these little guys, especially when you're trying to fine-tune them. Make sure this ponytail goes in right. Alright, so I'll set that down. Alright, now put on the neck piece. Really helps with these models if you have little tiny hands. Okay, so I'm going to dry fit that. Make sure. Okay. Not too much glue because that'll swamp the little model out. You won't be able to feel the fit right. It'll slide a lot. Okay. Alright, let's do the little arm. This is supposed to be... trying to find where it wants to fit. Think like that. There we go. Still got a little bit of wiggle in it, but that's alright. So now I'm going to put on the next arm. And the toughest part of any Necromunda model is you'll get to a certain point of where you're not sure all the little bits are aligned properly. You got a sense that they are, but these are such tight tolerances that they might not be. And then there's going to be a three-way wiggling act. And so in this case, with this model, it's going to be aligning this tiny arrow into her right hand and across the bow. And just the slightest touches of glue. There we go. Aaron got me these tweezers, and they really saved my life when it comes to this Necromunda stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a spot of glue there, kind of hold it under. There. You can see that's filtering through. Right, that was actually easier than I thought it was going to be. Alright, and now we'll put on her head. Let's see, make sure I got the look down. I messed up the ponytail. So let's... since the glue is still wet, I can take it off like that. There we go. And let's put this quiver on her back. Let me make sure it's facing the right way. Yeah. So as you can see, there's a little ridge of plastic that sticks down. Doesn't look like it actually ties into anything, but it looks like it's designed to fit in the along her pants. the top there. I'm sure anywhere I put it will be fine. Let's make sure that's tight in there, tight enough, because I know I will go to a tournament and drop this. Okay. The more I touch it, the worse it gets. Okay. And that's good enough. Alright, now I'm going to put her on her base. So when I do Necromunda models, you'll notice this base has different leveled surfaces, and I know I will drop this at some point. So I want to find a surface. So when I pack them in my case, I want as much of the model to be in that circle as possible. But I want the feet to have as much contact with the same level plastic surface. So just twist the base around until you find the right surface area. So I am going to put a bunch of glue on the bottom of her little feet. Not so much that it squishes out and forms a little gummy layer around her feet that will show up after you prime. Okay. Sure, I'm going to push her back a little bit more. Okay. So there's our Escher Wyld Runner. Thought it was going to be worse than what it turned out to be, but that worked out pretty fine. Well, thank you for joining us at Miniature Wargaming Labs, and we'll see you next time.